Senator Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to all of the witnesses who have come and to those of you in the audience who've come to support them. What they are doing is in sharing their stories and telling the truth about some of the most powerful organizations in our country is not an easy task. And all of you are here in support of them, letting them know that in this moment, when others have failed them, you continue to stand with them. And so I want to appreciate all of you who are here in their support. A couple of questions that I have. Mr. Chair, I want to get to my questions, but I also don't want to lose the opportunity to note that I respect our ranking member and his having frustrations and his freedom to share those frustrations. At the start of opening remarks, while I recognize that I am the newest member of this subcommittee, the most junior senator in the body, and I also happen to be the only woman sitting on this dais. And I understand that there are frustrations abound in terms of the work that we all have to do on behalf of our constituency, and the most that we could do is to honor that these witnesses have come here to share their testimony and allow them to get those stories out that they have prepared so nervously to offer. And as the only woman sitting on this dais, I didn't want to lose the opportunity. I would correct that to say, abdicate my responsibility to speak on behalf of the women who are here and those who are watching, to honor their stories, to honor their time, and honor their preparation. Getting to that, to the survivors who are here. You have shared a lot about your recommendations for what things that this body could do and how Congress could join you in partnership to begin to orient towards action in addressing these challenges. And I thank you for being specific in offering those recommendations. A question that I have is relative to what happens after the assaults, after you have made the courageous choice and decision to report, after you have been repeatedly victimized by the reporting structures and systems that you are obligated to abide by. What happens to you? What are the kinds of support services, including mental health support, did you receive in the time? And what kinds of services would you advocate that we include in our action-oriented continued oversight of this issue? And I would love to start with Ms. Morrow.
Thank you for your question. I hope I answer it completely, so you can let me know if you want me to expound. But after, I reluctantly came forward. I was dedicated to keeping my mouth shut because I knew what would have happened if I accused shipmates of what they had done. I had confided in a civilian professor by accident. I was going to him for help because my grades were struggling. I was struggling with my schoolwork, and told him that I was extremely unhappy, that I hated it here, that I wanted to leave, and told him about what I was experiencing daily in the barracks. And he told me, well, you know, I'm obligated to report this, correct? And my heart just sank into my feet because I knew what was going to happen to me after. And actually, to my surprise, nothing much came of it until maybe my memory's fuzzy, but it wasn't immediate. I had to answer to my company commander, who then asked me if this was worth investigating. I said no, and then when later the investigation was forced, he proceeded to bring everyone all the 30 people who were in the room at the time in for an interview, which meant that all my classmates knew exactly what I had accused one of the other shipmates of. I would have doors slammed in my face. The rumor mill ran rampant. The rumors were so ugly, it destroyed my reputation. I had no one to turn to. I was mocked in the hallway, and it just became so heavy that I just decided to leave. I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to function in this service without support from my shipmates. The bullying and the retaliation it's crushing.
I see the pain still on your face. Thank you. Cadet Hallstrup, you talked about your leadership role currently in CASA, and you were very specific in the recommendations that you thought that Congress should take. Can you talk to me about the mental health services and other kinds of post-traumatic supports that you feel like are necessary as a continued sort of action-oriented package?
Yes, Senator. Thank you for that question. Really, what I have to say echoes what Caitlin just said. I also did not want to come forward about my case. I finally, a couple weeks after the assault, I asked a CASA member who was a firstie to come and talk to me, and she stood in my room and we had to have the door open. And as I was telling her what was happening, what had happened, I heard someone walk outside my door and stop. And that's when I stopped talking and I said that I think he's outside. And she walked outside, and there was the perpetrator listening to my story. I was in fear because he was my next door neighbor. And he had a very angry outburst. So the next day, I went and I made it an unrestricted report to our duty officer. They did everything right. They informed everyone in my chain of command. They went through the entire checklist that they now have to do. And I was offered an SVC, which is a Special Victims Counsel, a lawyer. I got in touch with a victim advocate who saved my life, quite frankly. And then I got to talk to a chaplain. And when I went to talk to that chaplain, he asked me who assaulted me. And I told him. And he said, "Oh no, he's such a good guy." And then he proceeded to talk about how his kids were adopted from the same agency. I didn't go back. But I did speak with the counselors on campus, and I have for 3 years now. We do have some measures in place of support, and quite frankly, as CASA president, I have healed by helping others get through this process. So to answer your question, we do have a lot of measures in place to support victims and survivors after they report. But like I referenced in my written testimony, we still need to buttress some of those. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My last just quick comment, Mr. Chair. I have a 9-year-old daughter. And if she is so fortunate to have examples like you fighting to create a better Coast Guard, I'd be excited for her to join. Thank you, Mr. Chair.